came out, and that was awesome. So when one person takes that step of coming out and a team or administration, not administration, but you know what I mean, the whole group of athletics does well with that, especially in like a college atmosphere, if you're playing professional in the minor league team, if the whole group takes it well that that one person came out, everyone else is going to feel safe too. So the atmosphere matters of how those reactions are. The reaction of the team and the coach is the administration of the context. And the reaction of my coach of kind of making fun of me that it was Pride every day, like, I was kind of mad at my coach for a while. Like, I felt pointed out and made fun of a little bit, and that was when I was still the only out player on the team, so it did make a difference. So just being aware of what your context is. The other context that you have to be aware of is I'm talking about we're homophobic, atmosphere, etc. in the world. My roommate, who was also a teammate, she was in the picture with Just Saying. She is captain of the Puerto Rican national soccer team, the women's captain. She's really good. She'll probably go pro like next season maybe. She's on one of the minor league teams now and not our team anymore. She is not out in Puerto Rico at all. No way. And that is the context of that country. And that really matters. Context matters. Like, I think at first, I'm going to be honest, I kind of judged her a little. Like, come out. Why are you being so, like, we got to come out. We have to come out. Like, we're never going to get freedom. But she has a life that she wants to live. And she has goals and dreams. And if she came out in Puerto Rico, she would no longer be the captain. She would probably be allowed to stay on the team because she's a good enough athlete that they need her, but she would not be the captain. She would not be going to the press events, meeting the mayor, and doing the things, and yada, yada, yada. That would not be happening. And her chances of making it pro would be less. Not because she was out, but because that title of captain for a national team does matter when you want to go pro. What the, like, ESPN, well, Fox Soccer Channel is going to show at the bottom of the screen is NCAA Division I athlete at Mizzou. She didn't go here, but you know what I'm saying. Go Tigers. And captain, national team. Like, that's a big deal. You want to have those statistics. So it was not a safe place for her to come out. So that's one example of where context really matters. What school are you at? If we're talking college athletics, if you're going to St. Mary's, that's a Catholic school. Maybe not the safest place. I don't know. I don't go to St. Mary's. I don't know anyone who does. But my guess would be that at a Catholic institution, it would not be as safe to come out. So there's a lot of different factors playing into this homophobic world that might not have anything to do with the actual team and field you're playing on and have everything to do with the context around you. Any questions or comments on that one? Yeah, Carrie.
Well, more of a personal question. Do you think that your coach was, like, said things like that, or, like, was more pointed towards you about being proud because she was jealous that you were, like, so comfortable to do that when she was your coach and wasn't?
Looking back, I really do think that. Because I think that it was really, I think that I had a privilege that no one else had, having left the soccer world, because I left. I mean, athletes around the room can, you know, speak to this. When you're an athlete, you are an athlete, and that is what you are, especially if you're playing at Mizzou, if you're in this college level. That is what you do. You live with your team, you study with your team, you travel with your team, you go to tutoring with your team, you eat with your team. Like, that is your entire life. And I left that for a while. And I kind of came up with this whole other life. And then I went back to it, and so I had been out of kind of the culture of sports. And I think that they hadn't really experienced my culture. Like, I came in and was very much myself and very much out all the time and had no problems talking about it. And I think it's because I left that culture of not being allowed to talk about it. So I think that while there were clearly many queer women on my team, it was all very hush-hush. And there was a whole kind of, Ro would talk about it on the Puerto Rican national team, the players who did know about her and the players who didn't, and that they were also probably queer women, and that there was kind of this, like, down low talk of who was out and who wasn't. And I think that's how it was on the Nighthawks before me, was this, like, whisper of we're going to the gay bar, which you can always say, oh, it's just fun to dance, you know, that had this safety. And that was all the more out than anybody ever was. And then I came out and was like, no, I'm out. Let's go to Pride stuff. Let's do everything. Wait till you see my rainbow outfit, you know, like. Other questions or comments? Yeah, Frankie.
Like, in addition to that, like, do you think maybe your coach saying something like that was kind of for the like sake of like the comfort of like the heterosexual people on the team, because I think a lot of like in sports is like lesbian in the locker room syndrome, like, you know, I swear I'm not looking at you as you change, like things like that, and like just making sure like that even though you shouldn't have to, you know, convey yourself as heterosexual and make you feel comfortable, but I think that could also be a possibility too.
I 100% think that that's true. I don't know if that's exactly what my coach was doing, but I think that's a really good point to bring up, is that the outside world sees the sports world as a lesbian world, like, which goes back to a lot of what we saw in the clip of having to work against it and the sexism of, like, you know, if you're tough, you're a lesbian, but to be an athlete, you need to be tough, so how do you be an athlete who's not a lesbian? Because that's tough. Like, there's a lot of women athletes who are not lesbian or queer, don't identify that way in any way, and so they are actively working against that, and not to the detriment of the other players on the team are LGBTQ. That's not their intent. It's their intent to be who they are, which is why we need to accept everybody, and then we can accept everybody. See how that worked? Okay, we're going to move on because we're getting close on time. So why does this matter? It matters for the team. What's important with a team? There is no I in team. A team is only as strong as its weakest player. Play is weakest link in the body. Read any back of a t-shirt you've ever seen on a sports player. Team matters. Like, it's all about the team. Team is commonly referred to as family, and if you're not being nice to your team and your family, you can't play as well. If there's someone on the team who does not feel comfortable, whether it's because you're on the all-lesbian team and they feel like I'm not a lesbian, or because they can't come out, maybe they like are dating somebody for the first time, that's tough. Everybody's talking about their crushes and the butterflies in the stomach and where are we going to go on our date, and they can't share those feelings with their team. That makes a divide, and when teams have divides, they don't do as well. I know I'm talking a lot about team sports, but especially in college, that is true also of, you know, tennis, not necessarily a team sport, or track and field, but you still have that team mentality of traveling with a team, competing as a team, having the results equal as a team, being together in this team to, you know, go Mizzou, you're still fighting for the same school or the same country, USA track, you know, whatever it is, you want to all be together in that. Okay, a really positive example, Sherry, I don't know how to say her last name either. She's a women's basketball coach at Portland State University. She used to be somewhere else, and she had a 27-114 record. Not the best record, but there are worse ones. And then once she moved to Portland State, she was 18-14, and Portland State got their first NCAA berth. It was a really great year for them. They hadn't been doing well before necessarily, and then she came and they had a phenomenal season. Is it because she came out, so she wasn't out at her first school, she resigned, she left before her contract was up, and then when she went into Portland State, she went out. She was out when she got there. She talks about how she put her picture of her partner and her twins up on her desk, and she hadn't done that before. She actively showed who her family was. Is it about her sexuality? Probably not. But is it about being honest with herself and with her team, not having to deal with this other thing and being real? Hey team, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, this is what we got to do. And then they did better. So it's about being honest about who you are, not just because she's a lesbian and she came out, if that makes sense. So then I just have another quote. The strength of the team is in each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. Phil Jackson, Chicago Bulls, great coach. And then about working together by Henry Ford. Assembly line, he knows about working together. Not necessarily sports, but I found it applicable. All right, we still have time, so quickly we're going to watch a clip from Bend It Like Beckham that kind of talks about contacts and